obviously, I then loved all the memes from that because everyone's like, oh, the video game people have finally get their I read the book moment. I think just
Gone
the
back and forward on
visual
this a lot. Yeah.
of like the frames after it's done where it kind of holds on it for a bit and it's just like a mess. I think that's why it just felt so visceral. Deep down, I want all the defenders. I would kind of be gutted if we don't get Danny Rand back because just like you brought everyone else, like just give the man what, like let him have his final hurrah or something.
Andor season 2, episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Oh.
We may have never been more back than we currently are.
Before we get into the meat of the episodes,
the meat and potatoes, yes.
Visually, you can visually see a huge step up from production side.
Hello and welcome back to Cutscene Convos. This is episode 158. We've been away for a little while and that means we've got a lot to cover. We have got 3 weeks worth of TV to catch up on. We have got a character profile on the Winter Soldier. We have got a preview for Thunderbolts, which comes out this weekend. And as always, we have the Nerd News Network. But before that good stuff, Horizontal, how's your near as damn it month been?
I mean, yeah, it's feels like ages. I know it's only been like
3 weeks.
3 weeks since we recorded, but it's like I was only away for 2. But yeah,
it's bank holiday weekend, a long bank holiday weekend in there as well, which always throws it off even more.
I mean, I'm good. I'm enjoying the new job. I've done my first almost 3 weeks of that now.
Yeah. Seasoned veteran.
Well, hopefully soon. Slowly getting into the groove of things. Slowly learning more and more stuff each week. I'm going to become a spreadsheet wizard. I'll say that.
You already got the beard for it.
I'm going to be that person as well that eventually, if I do build a keyboard, I'm going to be that person in the office that just whips out a mechanical keyboard. I'm fine. I get a work laptop, but I haven't used a laptop keyboard in I don't know how many years.
And even a good laptop keyboard is still arse.
Oh yeah, and it just it feels different to type on. So I'm very slow at typing at the moment, but that's not a massive issue. But yeah, I mean, overall this new job's been good. Got my first part paycheck. Spent a bunch of it straight away. But yeah, looking forward to what is to come with the job. I think
whole new chapter, a few big changes inbound.
Yeah, definitely completely thrown off my usual schedule. Like I'm now realizing I had so much free time before. Sleep-wise, I actually got used to it. My body completely shifted and it's been fine. Other than that, though, it's realizing, oh, you don't actually get that much time on evenings.
Yeah, no, it's rough. It's rough. It do be like that.
But yeah, how's your almost month been?
It's been good. It's been good. It's been very weird. This has been something that bar bits and pieces here and there we've done so consistently for so long now. Missing it for a few weeks really throws off my sense of time. I'm like, wait, what's going on? What's happening? And as well as the big bank holiday weekend thrown in the middle of there, I couldn't tell you whether I'm coming or going. I've checked the date about 19 times in the last 3 days. So I'm like, what day is it? Not a clue. But yeah, no, it's been good. Finally passed £750 on the charity fundraiser.
Yes.
So in basically just under 3 weeks' time, all of this will be coming off for the first time in 6, coming up on 7 years. I'll be getting a haircut, which is insane.
This is where you shave it off, and all of your comic book knowledge goes with it.
Yeah, that's what I've been storing all of it. I'm gonna be like, who's the guy with the shield? I've finally done something I've wanted to do for ages, and I've got my Cineworld Unlimited card back.
Oh, yeah.
Me and Jenna, what was it we went to see? We booked tickets to go see something.
Was it Sinners? I feel like you saw Sinners recently.
Yes, it was Sinners. That's exactly what it was. We went to see Sinners. And a phenomenal film. Just an absolute masterpiece. I can't recommend it highly enough. But I was like, Sinners is a very good film, but it's that kind of film. If it didn't have amazing reviews from the get-go, I would have gone. I'd like to see that and then forgotten about it and not gone. Plus, every time I want to go, it's like, okay, cool. For us to both go, that's 20 quid that we need to have right this minute. So I was like, I'm sick of missing out on things that are like, oh, that looks good, and then just never going to see it. I have that issue enough with TV shows and games, and like buying a comic and not reading it for months. I'm sick of missing out on films. So I was like, fuck it, let's get our unlimited cards back up. We had them. Our unlimited card ended a month before the pandemic hit the first time, so we didn't renew it naturally. We're like, we'll see what happens here.
Makes sense.
And then we were just never in the position to really re-up it again. But I was like, no, we need to go do it. And then we re-upped it, a week Friday ago, maybe we re-upped it. And we've been to the cinema 3 times since, and we've got 4 more bookings already in. I'm just booking everything that I'm even mildly interested in, because I'm like, you never know what you might be like, we'll see, and then you turn up and you're like, oh, that was actually fucking lit. And I think that's partially being fed as well by my semi-recent downloading of Letterboxd.
Oh yeah,
I'm like,
Letterboxd recently.
I can go to the cinema all the time, and it's actually adding a level to watching it, because I feel like I'm more engaged. I'm like, well, I've got to make sure that my Letterboxd review is something I'm happy with in 2 years' time.
I look forward to us staging an intervention when you start taking a notebook to the cinema review.
Imagine. So yeah, I'm really happy about that. I've said fuck knows how many times on this podcast that like the cinema is one of my true like happy places. Like I just absolutely love it so much. So having my unlimited card back, I was literally like a kid on Christmas morning. We sat there on the sofa and like sorted them out, and we like paid for them, and they came up on our app, and it was like, yep, your unlimited card's live, you're good to go. And in that moment, I was like, right, bam, 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 we booked 3 showings instantly. I was like, yeah, that feels good. Just knowing at any time on a Saturday, we could be sat here going, we are bored as fuck right now, and I can just open the app and go, cinema. It's just phenomenal. It's not, and because I've already paid it, I don't have to think about the money. Like, if we're like, oh, it's a tight month this month, but we're bored, we can still go to the cinema because that is already bought and paid for.
Yeah.
So, yeah, over the fucking moon to have my unlimited card back, and I will not be shutting up about it. And it does mean I'm going to be watching so many more films, which is only ever a good thing. And it kind of moves nicely into, especially with the way we're changing how we cover stuff now. With it just being anything we're watching that we want to talk about, we'll get a little bit of time. I'm going to be going to the cinema so much more. Well, I went to see this. Was good. Would recommend. And it means just if I'm ever bored, I'm just going to go to the cinema.
Fair.
Limit boredom at all costs. Other than that, work's been okay. Our new back-end system is going live tomorrow. So that's going to be very big fun and games, lots to do, lots to get used to, and lots to explain to people who maybe don't know it as well as others. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it all goes swell. But other than that, nothing too crazy on our side. Just been living life, cracking on. Lots of video games.
Yeah, what are those?
Yeah, you're not a gamer anymore.
I've played one gaming session on Sunday after I'd got everything set up, and that was.
What did you boot up?
It was Rivals, and I was instantly overwhelmed with how many challenges I had to do. But yeah, like I haven't played. Like I've started my job. Obviously, was in the office. Like stayed at my sister's for 2 weeks. I spent more time at my sister's house this last month than I have here. So I had no setup, which was fine. Actually, there was only probably the bank holiday weekend a couple of points where I was like, I've been watching TV all day. This would have been great to just be able to play some games. But
yeah, I'm surprised you didn't come back home for the bank holiday weekend.
I just can't be bothered. I'll be honest.
Fair enough.
I
You're
was
going to
like,
start knowing when bank holidays are soon, though.
oh, yeah, that was
Before
something.
we'd be like, oh, it's bank holiday weekend, and you were like, wait, what is it?
Yeah, on Tuesday I was reminded it's bank holiday Monday, and I was like, oh, I could have very easily just logged on Monday morning and be like, everyone's very quiet
Where the
today.
fuck is everyone?
But yeah, so I haven't played any games really.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah,
Hate to see it. But should we get into some things? We've got so much to talk about.
we have.
So,
I mean, I have a surprise for you.
oh, okay.
Something that you probably were not expecting to get to talk about on this podcast.
Okay.
I am fully up to date on Last of Us.
You're joking.
So
Did you binge watch season 1?
That's what I did on Good Friday.
Okay.
So my sister and her husband had watched season 1.
Yeah.
Obviously, then we're talking about season 2 starts. So it was like obviously it was Easter Monday was the first.
Yes, it was.
So I can't remember now. One of the Mondays, basically around the last 2 weeks or whatever. So I binge watched season 1 at theirs because they were both out on Good Friday. I was like, I have nothing to do. Con's gonna want to probably talk about Last of Us, really, but can't.
But yeah, it's on my list of things that I was going to mention, even in passing.
So yeah, I binged season 1 and then got to go straight into season 2.
Okay.
So yeah, surprise! I'm fully up to date.
Wow,
on Last
I
of
didn't
Us.
expect that. So let's start with The Last of Us, since you
Okay.
brought that up. Correct me if I'm wrong, but although you've never played the game, you were aware of the main beats of the story, just being on the internet in the gaming sphere, or were you?
Yeah, like I knew. So with season 1, obviously I know that it was like Joel and Ellie traveling across wherever. I knew there was obviously some end goal in mind because it's a game. Didn't really know much about what went down.
So you didn't know like she was immune. That was like part of the story you learned from watching the show type thing. Okay, cool.
Although like I pieced that together fairly quickly, but yeah. Season 2, going into this, the only 2 things I knew, which as a gamer was pretty hard to dodge one of them. I've dodged a lot of spoilers, but there was obviously the big main one about Joel. Spoiler warning if you haven't watched season 2. But I'm presuming if you're still listening, you have. Obviously knew that was coming. I didn't know how or like to what degree that went down, sort of thing. I just knew it happened.
Okay.
I also knew that obviously the second game focused on Ellie and Abby, but I didn't really know to like how the fact that like I kind of obviously know that Ellie goes on like a hunt, but other than that, I have no fucking clue now for what's left. What's to come.
I knew a bit more than you just via like being on the internet and seeing things. And because at the time The Last of Us and The Last of Us 2 came out, I was like, I don't know, PlayStation will probably never play them.
Yeah.
Seeing spoilers wasn't something that bothered me. I didn't like try and avoid them. So we're sitting there, and obviously Jenna she doesn't play games. She's not on the gaming side of the internet. She knew The Last of Us was a game series, but that was it. So we watched season 1 together, of course, when it first came out. She really enjoyed it because it is a very good story and they did a great job. So when season 2 was coming out, she was like, I'm well excited. And I said to her, I was like, you don't know any spoilers or anything for this at all, do you? And she was like, no, I've not really seen anything online. I was like, okay, cool. And she was like, why? I was like, just curious, because like it's a very big franchise. I wasn't sure if anything could like spilled over onto your feed and anything had been spoiled for you. It's like, no, not seen anything. And obviously in the Discord, when the second episode came out, I was like, Jenna has no idea what the next 40 minutes have in store for her.
So similar in the sense that my sister had obviously knew it's based on a game, has no fucking clue. My brother-in-law hasn't played the games, but he is, to his own detriment, after season 1, was like looking stuff up because he was like, oh, what's this about? Ended up spoiling it for himself back then.
That's a very me-coded thing to do. That's why I'm so good at avoiding spoilers now, because I used to accidentally do shit like that to myself all the time.
He knew what was coming, but obviously didn't let on. And then my sister's friend was also watched it, and so she was coming round episode 2 night to watch that. So them two didn't know. Me and my brother-in-law sat there on the couch no,
trying not to give anything away.
Well aware what episode 2 was about to bring. They were shook. Obviously, I didn't know about the whole horde on Jacksonville. So that was intense enough for me. Also, I'm trying not to. I've had the poker face on. I was like, no, I'm not giving this away. But yeah, they were shook.
The beauty of that is absolutely the fact that the way they shot it in the TV show was such a stereotypical the hero gets saved at the last possible moment that you can gaslight yourself based on watching TV into thinking he's not going to die.
Well,
so
it's Pedro Pascal. He is the star of the show.
Before Ellie arrives, but you see her getting closer and Abby's just wailing on him, Jenna literally leans forward and goes, they're not going to fucking kill him. And it wasn't a disbelief thing. It was a matter of fact. So they're not going to fucking kill him. You know how sometimes when you can tell someone's not actually dead and you're just like, what's the fucking point? You're wasting my time here.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm sat there, I'm like, don't give anything away, Con, don't give anything away. We chat a lot through TV shows, which is really funny, bearing in mind we're dead silent through a film, even when we watch it at home. But TV shows we chat through. And I shit you not, Ellie's on the floor, tearing up. Phenomenal acting from Bella Ramsey.
Yes.
Then the golf club goes into his neck, and all the audio in the show cuts out. I hear Jenna go. I look over, her hands go up to her face, and I shit you not, she does not move a muscle for 5 minutes. The scene is over. We're back in fucking the town with the and she is still just completely stun-locked at the fact that Joel's just died. It was almost like she wanted to ask me, is he actually dead? But she didn't want to get the response.
Yeah. My sister was similar, but it was they can't. He did all the he can't be dead. He is the show. Obviously I then loved all the memes from that because everyone's like, oh, the video game people have finally got their I read the book moment.
Yeah.
It's obviously us gamers knew what was coming. We're prepared. We're still looking forward to what's to come. It was
fucking brutal. They didn't pull their punches. It was brutal to watch.
It's from the way the show did the marketing and promo for this season. Obviously, being the gamers know we don't. There's no point trying that. There's no. We just forget about the gamers. They know what's coming. We need to market this as if for people that don't know, and them fully selling it as if Pedro's going to be in this. He did so much promo for this. They didn't hide him away like some films might be doing with certain characters. That I think was great, and it showed from people that didn't know him were genuinely shocked at his death. Obviously, I haven't played the game, so I don't have. I know some people have small gripes with how they are telling the story.
Yes. So my understanding are in the game. At this point, you have no idea that Abby's dad is the doctor from the end of the first game, which makes it a lot easier to hate the character. And the reason the game does that is you're forced to play as Abby throughout the game as well. And then you uncover this, and then you're supposed to build more sympathy towards her because you find out her reasoning. It doesn't make as much sense in this version of storytelling to bury that lead because it's a different experience. Yeah. Another one is apparently there is a porch scene after the New Year's Eve party.
I think we're going to get that.
a lot of people have been saying it clearly happened. You can see from a couple of Easter eggs that scene definitely did happen. They think, again, for the storytelling perspective of a TV show, they're burying that until after Ellie had a big failure and she remembers that interaction instead to motivate her to keep going. Which, again, makes a lot more sense from a TV narrative perspective.
Yeah, and I mean, I definitely do think we are going to get that scene, because I'd read about that. And going off this week's episode, when she's leaving the hospital and she's like, no, we didn't talk on the porch, but like you can tell she's clearly hiding something.
Yeah.
And like they're making like it clear enough that there's obviously some other scene happens between them, but she's not ready as a character. She's not ready to admit that yet, or whatever.
I think the big thing with adaptations like this, and I think I might be one of the most qualified people in the world to speak on not getting angry at adaptations, coming from a book and comic book background where a lot of the stuff I enjoy has been adapted for film or TV or both. You have to accept, if you love a franchise, that if they just do a one-to-one adaptation, that is actually normally worse than giving a little creative freedom and telling it differently. Even if you're worried they've missed something important, you've got to trust that they'll come back to it when it matters. Because if you just want a one-to-one adaptation, you may as well just go experience it in the form you initially experienced it that way. Like, if you're angry about the way they've decided to do season 1 and 2, just go and replay the first and second game. I think
that's something people forget, is like how a story is told in a video game is going to be different to a show, because the means in which the story is presented to you is different. You are getting the story through gameplay, and that in itself needs to be fun and drive forward the story.
The medium matters so much when it comes to telling the story that from medium to medium, the story cannot stay the same.
No. So
it's a detriment.
From what I've seen, the overall people are enjoying this. I mean, I knew I was going to enjoy the show. I know, like The Boys, you've mentioned I need to watch Last of Us. And like, even I knew I would enjoy it. It's just one of those where kind of just put off watching it.
And it's so easily done.
But yeah, season 1 was obviously great when I binged that. And season 2, I'm very much enjoying and very much looking forward to kind of now getting to go into this with blind knowledge.
Yeah, I don't know much at all about what happens here on out, so I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, part of me is actually I'm like, I know some people are very sad that by episode 2, Joel's gone, and like, what? And I'm like, I'm glad that's out the way now. Now I can actually be like also going blind.
Could you imagine if that was like near the end of the game and that's the one big thing we know? We're just sat there waiting for it the entire time. That's out of the way, we can move on and I can learn some new things. Very, very cool. Hey, don't forget to like and subscribe. Going back to what feels like 1 billion years ago now. Daredevil Born Again.
Yeah, I watched that finale while I was away. Oh my god, yes.
So, as we left off many moons ago, Matt's just been shot.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going on. Fisk and Vanessa have finally kind of reconciled and gone, we both want to be murderous psychopaths. Let's do it together.
Yep.
And that's where we're at. This finale was phenomenal.
Yes. Yes,
I understand when they kind of went from the 18 down to the 9 at the same time as bringing in the new team, why they've done that now. The finale makes that make sense.
Yeah.
And the best bit about actually discussing this a little bit later is fan theories and stuff have had time to develop a little bit, and producers have had time to be a little bit loose-lipped, so we have some juicier things to discuss. So, for the broad strokes, just to catch people up, so they remember what happened.
Yeah.
Matt left the hospital, kind of breaking up with Heather, and he just walked back to his apartment, basically butt-ass naked.
Did his usual.
Yeah. He arrives at his apartment to find Frank there, which, again, loved.
Yes.
And instantly, I remember turning to her, I was like, Karen absolutely called him. And when she found out, because the only person on planet Earth who makes Frank Castle do something is Karen Page.
Yeah, I kind of thought the same. And then obviously we then found out he's clean shaven and had a haircut. And it's like, Karen's
Punisher.
called him and he's cleaned himself up.
He's ready to do some punishing again.
Mm.
We get very, very cool fight scene as the task
Yes.
force come to execute Matt, essentially.
Yeah, that was so. I loved that fight because we got the Matt and Punisher back and forth, their morals, while also having this fight and trying to stop him trying to stop.
I
Punisher killing
adored
people.
Matt kind of flinching and wincing every time Frank killed someone that he could do nothing about.
Mm.
So like when Frank just like blew the fucking guy's head off with the shotgun, you just see Matt go like that, and he's like, "There's nothing I can do to stop that." But you can tell it bothers him, and I think they nailed in the dialogue of that, like the first part of that episode, the backwards and forwards between Frank and Matt, because as people they actually get on, and they kind of like each other and respect each other, but then they both just go like 1% too far for the other person.
Yeah.
And the worst part is they play up to it because they know it pisses the other one off.
Mm-hmm.
Like Matt being even more of a choir boy and like asking for like oat milk
Yes.
or whatever the fuck it was when he was offering him a coffee. And then Frank being like, "I'll just fucking murder everyone, I don't care, bitch." Like, it's so... They are like brothers in a weird way, trying to push each other's buttons.
And it was that is a dynamic that we loved in the original, in the Netflix show. And I'm like, we'd already seen it slightly when they first met up in this season. And then like getting that, and we were like, it was like, oh, we're basically right back on the rooftop scene. Like this is Daredevil still. Like we haven't missed a beat. I thought it was obviously like they jump off the balcony when the fucking grenades come in. I was like, oh, cute. Frank's getting a little swing with.
I love the idea that Frank was just like, "I'm not going to let these motherfuckers blow me up. I'd rather die by suicide." And Matt just manages to grab him, rather than Frank was just like, "I'm sure Red will catch me." I like the idea of like, rather die but on my own terms. And Matt's like, "No, you fucking don't."
Yeah. But he probably was as well. That is the Punisher's just like, no, I'm just jump off and I'll deal with whatever happens.
One of my like favorite parts, like the Netflix and I guess Disney Plus Punisher, is there is no reason Frank should ever have survived any of this. You look at it and you're like, no human survives this. But they work it so well because you see how much hatred Frank has, and you're like, oh, he is literally surviving via hate. The hate fuels him.
Pure willpower.
Yeah. Then, of course, they escape. They start working out what they're going to do. And on the flip side, you have Kingpin. He's escalating. He's consolidating more power. It seems like, to me at least, he's turning more cops. There seems to be more and more cops.
The task force is definitely growing a bit.
The task force seems to be getting bigger, yeah. And the big thing is, he has decided that the police commissioner's got to go. He essentially kidnaps him and then just implodes his head.
Yeah, well, so yeah, he catches. If I remember right, they got some wiretap of him discussing. Oh, that was it. The deputy woman sold him out. Yeah.
So we didn't know exactly what had happened. We know Fisk was talking to her and she seemed terrified. Then she came out, but we were still supposed to think she probably wasn't on Fisk's side, that she was just terrified. And it seemed like she was setting up a plan with the police commissioner to take Wilson Fisk down, but she ended up flipping on him and handing over a recording of their chat to Fisk.
So
I still think that's purely down to fear of the Kingpin.
Yes.
I don't think she's evil. I think she's trying to survive.
Yeah. I think in that moment when she bumped into the commissioner, she's like instinctually gone, I'm going to record this. Purely just like, then I have it for whatever need. And then she's gone, I care more about saving my own back right now. And she's sold him out to Fisk to make sure that she is staying alive, like you say,
yeah.
because she's realizing where he's going. Like, he is no longer being Mayor Fisk, he is turning into Mayor Kingpin. And she's realizing that. And
absolutely.
yeah, then we get the, obviously, underground meet with more of the task force mixed with some officials that are clearly more on Fisk's side. All the ones that are clearly more loyal to him. And then the commissioner gets his head just squished like jello, which honestly was a more brutal scene than the car door scene, I feel. I think just the
gone back and forward on
visual
this a lot. Yeah.
of like the frames after it's done where it kind of holds on it for a bit and it's just like a mess. I think that's why it just felt so visceral.
Do you know what I think the best way I can describe it is? That was more visceral. The car door scene was more barbaric. Because there was something about the way, like, the sound designers were earning a living for that car door scene. That when I went back to watch it before Daredevil Born Again, I remember watching that and just being like, ah. Because it leaves so much to your imagination with the sounds. Whereas, but no, especially when you've watched as much TV and film as we have, you can see the prosthetics of it. And don't get me wrong, it looked phenomenal. But in your head, there's still that part of your brain that goes, okay, cool, that's fake. Whereas when you just hear the sounds, there's something almost dark about it. You're like, they could have just killed a man to get that shot, and I would never know.
Yeah,
there's something about that. But yeah, absolutely doubling down on that. Kingpin is a fucking monster. Yeah. Kind of like we've always discussed with the Netflix shows, that they make you think this person is evil, then they do something to redeem themselves, and then they get worse. They've kind of done a little bit of the opposite. They made us think he would actually improved a little bit for a few episodes. Yeah. Then they showed the descent, but him trying not to descend. And then they've gone, no, he's given up. Bang, 0 to 100. He's ready to fucking kill everyone. He's declared martial law in New York City. Yeah. And he's a massive danger. And then the season ends with Matt and Karen at, I forget the name of the bar.
Oh, Gracie's?
It's named after a lady. It doesn't matter.
It's not Gracie's.
It's a lady's name, but it doesn't matter. At the bar. And they open the sliding doors, and we get a kind of cool shot, but underwhelming shot of like the beginning of a resistance.
Yes.
It is a kind of cool shot that we've got some faces there, and we feel like something's building after a very cool monologue. You know, I'm a sucker for a monologue.
Yeah.
I would have done laps around the planet if them doors would have slid open to reveal the Defenders, a Moon Knight, a Spider-Man.
So, I have a theory. Because we know the last 2 episodes was fully the new team. I would almost bet if they'd had the full reign from the beginning, that scene would have been exactly what we all wanted it to be. But because
I concur,
they were limited by what they were given and did the best at that point in the season, like, they can't probably go back to, oh, let's go get the Defenders and like let's hire them in and get, like, it's too late, unfortunately, for that in the process. They could have maybe done shadowy figures of certain builds to sell us on the ideas.
Silhouetting.
Yes. But then that also, if they don't lock people in for season 2, then that kind of messes things up. I think they played it safe with what they had, but they knew how we'd all react, and they were probably on the same page.
Yeah. The big bit of news that's come post this.
Okay.
So,
Luke Cage.
Do you remember we discussed? Do you remember we discussed that because of the deal with Sony, Spider-Man can't appear
doesn't do TV shows or whatever. Yeah.
So, people were losing their mind on the internet because they
Oh.
were adamant part of that bit of music playing at the end included part of the MCU Spider-Man theme.
Okay.
They were adamant about it. I couldn't hear it. I'll be honest. I didn't believe them. I was like, I think that's a bit of copium, but I love when people go nuts over this stuff.
Yep.
And then the producer of the show said, I can confirm that was some of Spider-Man's theme being played, but I can't tell you anymore even if I want to, because that decision was made by someone more important than me, and I don't know what they're planning.
Well, yeah, like, let's be honest, that he's not going to have... He doesn't have say in when and how they want to use it for what reasons.
That it sounds like that decision may have come from Kevin Feige himself. Now, I am not going to get too hopeful and go Spider-Man's going to make a guest appearance. However, rumours are mounting once again that Spider-Man 4 is going to be more grounded and happening at the same time as Doomsday.
Yeah.
There is a non-zero chance that Daredevil Born Again Season 2 leads into Spider-Man 4.
Ooh, I hadn't considered that. In my head, I was like, as you were saying this, I'm thinking, okay, maybe it just means like Fisk is going to show up in the next Spider-Man. Like maybe the tie is going to be that into Spider-Man, or like Matt's going to get a show up, like appearance in that or something.
Realistically, what I hope to get in Season 2, like Resistance-wise, is Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
Kate Bishop. Luke Cage. Jessica Jones. Give me some of them old Netflix faces. Show us the new young heroes that we know aren't a part of Doomsday, because I still want them to get some work. I would also be 100% down for an Oscar Isaac to appear to kind of tilt the sanity of the team, right? You'd have Matt, who's incredibly experienced, Luke and Jessica, who are quite experienced and grizzled, young teens who want to make a good difference, and then Moon Knight just like, and I think that kind of, I think that team comp could really do some bits.
I think that would
however,
be good.
If they do manage to make Spider-Man happen, I don't want to hear a bad word said about the show just because they managed to pull the fucking thing off.
Yeah, I mean, deep down, I want all the Defenders. I would kind of be gutted if we don't get Danny Rand back, because just like you brought everyone else, like just give the man what, like let him have his final hurrah or something.
Do you know what I genuinely think is more realistic? He goes to try and find Iron Fist, and instead he finds the Marvel rivals, the Swordmaster who's become Iron Fist.
Right.
Because he's just like, I'm looking for the Iron Fist, I'm looking for the Iron Fist. And all the people who know of the Iron Fist are like, oh, this guy's the Iron Fist now.
Right, yeah.
And then they can bury Danny Rand, they can get their synergy that I hate but they're always looking for, and we still get an Iron Fist.
I think it would be very cool to get Moon Knight in there. Obviously,
I just want the characters that we genuinely believe aren't going to be a part of Doomsday. I know we're still expecting more castings to be announced, but there are certain characters we're just not expecting to see in Doomsday. Yeah. They are ones that fall into that category.
I fully see us getting Miss Marvel or Kamala. Because remember, he's meant to go to dinner with her dad. I fully see him going for dinner, meeting her as Kamala. Then we get I'm forgetting her name now for Hawkeye.
Kate Bishop.
I'd so love if then like she gets recruited and she's like, oh, I'm bringing someone else along to help. And then it's like Miss Marvel and Matt's like, hang on a second, I know you're the same person. And like piece it together. There's a high chance that happens.
And like, I know tonally it feels quite weird because Ms. Marvel and Hawkeye show was so different from the Netflix Daredevil and Born Again. However, that means that they can create some very interesting moments, because Ms. Marvel, being the bubbly wannabe superhero, finally going up against a genuinely terrifying
Yes.
big bad with gritty people like Matt and Jessica on the other side, creates such an interesting comic book dynamic that we see all the time. And the best bit about them dynamics is, depending on whose show it is, one person looks ridiculous in a good way. So if this same team up was to happen in Miss Marvel show,
Yeah.
Matt should seem like so gritty and dark and almost Batman-esque, because he's the one who's out of place. Whereas in the Daredevil show, Kamala should come across as a bit of a naive child who views everything as a joke.
Yeah, agreed.
Unfortunately, the reason that will be a problem is a lot of people don't have media literacy, and they will they'll be like, "Oh my god, she's such an idiot." And unfortunately, they decide to hate one of the best characters we've got post Endgame, regardless of what she does. So I think it might just drive more hate towards the character, which is dumb, because, as I said, one of the best characters we've had introduced post Endgame is Kamala Khan and Miss Marvel.
Something you're also forgetting about this finale. We had Frank storm the task force.
Yes. Oh my god, yes. That was fucking awesome. And again, another one I want to be like, how the fuck is this man alive?
Yes.
I know he had a bulletproof vest on, but that man tanked like 4 shotgun blasts to the chest and just kept fighting.
My only disappointment was he didn't take more of them out before he got pinned down. Like, I wanted him to, like, take out half of, like, a good, like, to the point where you're like, holy shit, this is, like, this man is scary that they can't stop him. I loved his little speech to them, calling them, like, clowns. The only little thing I was hoping through that speech was him being like, what we've mentioned, where his view of, like, the cops are meant to be there doing good and he does what they're not allowed to do.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't quite that distinction of, like, you're meant to be better than me. But I so hope he gets to like take it out on all of them when he gets, because he's going to get freed. Scene? I think I did.
So obviously he gets captured and he's in that underground cage with loads of people. Oh, the post-credit scene is he gets the guard to come over and talk to him. Oh, and he goes, "Oh, I'd like to shake your hand." And he fucking pulls his arm in, breaks it, and escapes.
Yes, sorry, I'd forgot that.
So Frank is on the loose again.
I'm so ready for him to fully start, like, next season. Have him not be part of Matt's story of what's going on. Have him be, like, one by one, like the fucking ghost in the night, taking out these task force, that he becomes the boogeyman for them.
Absolutely.
But
yeah, phenomenal. So I know it felt like a while ago, but we didn't get a chance to discuss it yet, and I wasn't going to miss the chance. I'm going to do a quick roundup of some films I've seen in the cinema recently. I went to see Sinners, which is, of course, Ryan Coogler's new vampire film starring Michael B. Jordan. Set in the 1930s, about twin brothers who have been in Chicago as part of the mafia. They return home to set up basically a nightclub called a Juke Joint back in the day.
Right.
And then vampire shit happens.
Very cool.
The film is a masterpiece. As far as I'm concerned, this film cements Ryan Coogler in the category of your Spielbergs, your
new great,
your Nolans, your people like that, who, when they say they're releasing a film, you don't ask for a synopsis, you ask for a ticket type beat. You're like, oh, new Coogler film? We will be there.
I mean, like, even just, I know you sent me the thing where he was discussing about the film.
Oh my god, that's some of the best marketing that has ever been done.
But, like, just his, obviously, we always hear about, like, with, like, Avatar and stuff, like, oh, on IMAX, look at the size of the thing they had to set up to make it cope with the film, like, because when getting that video of him showing, like, how much knowledge he has on IMAX and, like, his dedication to the craft of filmmaking yeah, like he's going to be a fucking great director when he's got that level of passion for it.
Things we talk about a lot, not so much on camera but off camera, is passion makes everything better. That's why we don't kind of take a breath sometimes. Sometimes we get a bit heated about things because we care about them, and caring about things is how you show that they matter. It was his idea to work with Canon to do that, and although it's difficult to get individual metrics, they believe that might be one of the most successful piece of film marketing in the last 20-30 years.
Oh yeah, that's made me, obviously I haven't got to go see this because of just my last 2 weeks has been a weird one. I don't know if it's still in IMAX. I might have missed it.
I believe it's still going to be in until Friday when Thunderbolts comes out.
Yeah, I might miss
and
that.
And then they are planning to re-release it in IMAX later in the year.
See, because like I watched that and I was like, oh, I need to see this in IMAX if I'm going to watch this then. The same reason like Oppenheimer, I was like, oh, I'm going to watch that in IMAX. So yeah, it fully worked as marketing because I was sold on needing to watch this in IMAX.
And do you know what the worst bit about it is? He talks about the IMAX 70mm.
Yeah, it's London.
We can't even watch that in the UK.
I thought there was one in London.
No, there is, as far as I know, I might be slightly wrong here, there is only 3 screens in the world that are the full IMAX 70mm, and I believe they are all in America. Unless there is a 4th one in the UK, or I got my numbers wrong there. But a full IMAX 70mm film one, I believe there is not one in the UK.
Quick Google.
I believe there's one in Dallas, one in California, and one in New York direction.
I think London does.
Does London have one? Okay, that's good to know. I'm going to have to keep an eye on that.
At the BFI in South
The
Bank.
BFI, okay. Okay, that's good to know. Adding it to the list.
Because
I did search that.
If I remember right.
Oh, so maybe that's not a publicly accessible one or easily publicly accessible one.
It might be
maybe that's what it is then.
One.
Maybe that's why it didn't come up in my Google searching. But yeah, and do you know how insane it is? You had people in America who have said, I've never cared about watching a film in a particular way, but I saw that piece of marketing and I drove 6 hours to this screen so I could see it the way it was intended. That is the power of people not being afraid to be passionate about what they're passionate about. And I thought Ryan Coogler was that dude after Creed and Black Panther, but to see him go out and do a completely original project,
which he is going to own again.
Genius.
Man's a genius. Like that was the other thing that went round I saw with this film was like the deal he got with this has like pushed the upper limit of what a director can now get in a deal.
There is a little bit of debate about this. So the trades were saying this is like an unheard of deal. Right. But Ryan Coogler said in an interview, he was like, there are a lot of people claiming this deal doesn't happen. He was like, this deal happens. I didn't ask for anything that other directors don't get. I think he beat it around the bush slightly. He said, I'm just like the first black director who's asked for it and got it.
Yeah.
So I think it's just this deal is still a great deal for him. And I'm so glad he's landed it. But I think it's more a case of it made a much bigger news because he's like the first minority director to get one.
And I feel like it also got talked about. So like obviously there's probably directors, they make those deals and it's probably
they keep it quiet.
The studios go, we keep these sort of deals hush hush because we don't want every director asking for this.
But I think this brand being like, it's a brand like the main, although it's a vampire film, it feels insane to see this. There is obviously a lot of a political element to it with the times and the culture surrounding the film. And a lot of it is about black ownership and black people having their own community. Yeah. Like that's a core part of the film. I feel like
he also said something about that. It's like,
him holding on to the rights for that really did matter to him personally. And hey, the man's gonna keep pumping out films this good. You give him what he wants.
Well, yeah,
we always laugh at Warner Bros for pissing off Christopher Nolan, and now he doesn't want to work with them ever again. Don't make that mistake again with Ryan Coogler. Give that
Yeah.
man what he wants. Let him keep printing money. The second weekend drop for Sinners is one of the smallest in Hollywood blockbuster history.
Oh, the success of the obviously he makes great films. It was high chance this was always going to be a success, but the level of success it's had basically makes him go, you can't doubt me anymore. Like all these studios are just gonna be like, yeah, we know you're gonna print us money, so.
Now, I only have one negative thing to say, and it's not about Sinners, and it's not about Ryan Coogler.
Okay.
Early in development, back in 2019, they wanted Mahershala Ali's Blade film to be a period piece set in the 1920s. I'm gonna punch a fucking wall.
Hey, we're never getting it. I've come to accept we will never get Blade again.
It's done.
Maybe after Secret War. Maybe they somehow figure it out 5 years down the line.
I'm convinced we're never getting Mahershala Ali as Blade for sure.
No.
He's going to get a Channing Tatum style cameo in 20 years.
If I was him, I would have walked away. I don't care at this, but at this point, I'm surprised he's not fully announced he's done with it.
You know what it is? They've got him on a retainer that's juicy, and he knows it's never getting made, so he's not officially leaving the project. He wants to keep getting that yearly retainer. But what I will say, because I saw a lot of people going, I hope Ryan Coogler just goes off and keeps doing his own individual projects. I'm going to plead directly to Ryan Coogler here. Ryan, whatever you make, I will be there. That is a promise. If you can just make one in every 2 or 1 in every 3 a comic book style film, I'll love you, because you are one of the best comic book directors we've got. You, James Gunn, Sam Raimi are people who truly get the genre. And I'm not asking you to sell your soul to the MCU and just keep making them. 1 in every 2 or 3, my eternal love.
Imagine he makes a Miles Morales film.
Do you remember how excited I got when
what if he makes a Miles Morales TV show?
That'd be fire.
Cinema
remember
level.
How excited I got when Jordan Peele was getting rumored to potentially be working on X-Men? That's what I just if Ryan Coogler comes to Kevin Feige and says, I want to make a film on this character, Kevin Feige should only go, yes.
Yes. Now, where does this fit into the reboot?
Yeah, you make it fit in your plan, not the other way around, because the man's too good. Next up, Until Dawn. This is a horror film based on a game. So it was a PlayStation exclusive game. It was a linear story game that was affected by the player's decisions.
Mm-hmm.
I've said a million times, I love horror games. I don't play horror games. I watch playthroughs because it's just a bit too intense for me when I play them.
Yep.
I hate it, but it is what it is. This is one of my favourite horror games to watch playthroughs of there. It's so much fun.
Mm.
This film is fun.
Okay.
It is. But I think my letterbox review of it sums it up best.
Oh.
Horror films are like sitcoms. Even the bad ones have their moments. And that is the best one. It's no, it's not a particularly good film, but it is fun. And there are moments where you're like, oh, that's cool. That's fucking sick in the head type thing. And you're like, yeah, no, I like that. It doesn't manage to do it the whole way. Unfortunately, the biggest letdown is the narrative. It starts off okay, and they lose it in the middle badly, and they never quite recover it.
Right.
And it's...
Is that because they were trying to tie it to the video game?
No. Honestly, other than the existence of the Wendigos, the existence of the actor who plays the Doctor, I forget his name, who was in the game and is in the film playing the same role, despite it being a completely separate story. And the notion of it being
different,
survive the night, it's very
loosely
loose. Okay. Very loose. It feels like what they wanted to do was go, okay, let's make a horror film that feels like a video game. And when you die, the night restarts and you've got to try again.
Mm.
And I fuck with that concept heavy.
Mm.
And in the first part of the film, the idea is every night, the thing they're trying to survive is different.
Right, yep.
Which is even more terrifying. Because you're like, okay, no. Like, imagine you're playing a video game, you're like, I can't beat this level. But every time you die, the level changes. Yeah. And you're like, wait, what the fuck? I haven't learned. Like, that was great. Unfortunately, they lose that a little bit due to the narrative, and they stop doing that. And it's like, oh, well, that was the interesting part, and you've got rid of that now. But at best, it's like a 1 out of 5 IP relation type thing. Like, it is absolutely a case of we wanted to use this IP. Yeah. I enjoyed it. I would watch it again. But if you only want to go see it because you love the story of Until Dawn, you're probably going to be disappointed. The Amateur. The new Sam Raimi spy thriller. Sam Raimi stars as a CIA analyst whose wife is killed in a...
for this.
Yes, his wife is killed in like a terrorist attack in London. And he goes on a one-man army rampage to get revenge.
Using his tech skills and whatnot.
Yes. So there's a little bit of a don't trust the government vibe to it. Because he's kind of also being hunted down by his own boss. Right. Because to get a little bit of training, he blackmailed his boss because he found out his boss was doing dodgy shit.
Right.
So then it kind of has a bit of like a Jason Bourne vibe where like he's trying to get the job done, but he's being hunted by the CIA. Yeah. But it's a lot more less the entire CIA is hunting him and more some rogue agents are hunting him.
Okay.
It's kind of like... I enjoyed it. There's no franchise potential here, which I was a little bit surprised they didn't really set up any franchise potential, bearing in mind it's a spy thriller and Bond is in the toilet, Bourne hasn't done anything in years, and Mission Impossible's literally ending in a month's time. I went into this assuming they were setting this up to be hopefully a franchise that could fill that gap. I think Raimi is very good in it. I think Lawrence Fishburne is very good in it. I like a lot of it. Once again, I think the story kind of falls apart in the third act a little bit. And it goes from a little bit silly action adventure to quite morally complex at the end. Which feels like a big left turn out of nowhere.
Fair.
It feels like you had two writers writing the same idea, and they loved the first 2/3 of the action dudes, and they loved the final third of the philosopher dudes, and literally just stitched them together a little bit.
Right, okay.
There is a really weird moment for Marvel fans personally. John Bernthal is in the film.
Okay.
He plays a actual field agent who you meet at the beginning, and then you don't really see again until right near the very end.
Okay.
He bumps into him in Russia as he's going to hunt down the last guy, and Bernthal sits him down and he's like, oh my god, are you here to kill me? He's like, no one knows I'm here. You've helped me out before, so now I'm trying to help you. Don't do this, you're not this guy. Right. Do you know how fucking weird it was for me to sit there and go, why is the Punisher telling this dude getting revenge on the person who killed your family is pointless? That felt so weird. I was like, you of all people should not be allowed to say this. I know he's playing a different character. It felt weird. The weirder part, his character was called the Bear. It felt so weird. I know they probably weren't thinking about...
they 100% did that on purpose.
Weird. Raimi was good in it. A lot of the murders in it were like... if Agent 47 in Hitman chose the silliest option every time.
Right, okay.
Which I fucked with. Unfortunately, them going for this kind of how would a tech bro kill trained killers?
Yep.
Meant that on the few occasions there was like hand-to-hand action, it was choppy, it wasn't very good, it wasn't particularly enticing. It had a lot of good moments. I enjoyed it, but the story was a bit of a letdown in the end.
Fair.
Overall, though, it was cool to see Sam Raimi in a bit more of an action flick again. I enjoyed it. Right, before we get on to Andor,
Yes.
shall we do a couple of bits on Dropout? Starting with Game Changers.
I've been here the whole time.
We only had one episode in your absence.
We did, but we had some
Olympics
behind the scenes as well.
Yeah, I've only watched the behind the scenes of the Olympics. I saw that it was an hour for behind the scenes of 1 year later, and I was like, I need to find time to watch that.
Yeah, I'm trying to like brief rundown for the 1 year later behind the scenes. What was it? Was just like a lot of talking about like how they did help, like a lot of the production staff obviously had to help, or were on call to help them with anything, but also then had to keep Sam in the dark so he wouldn't know what was coming.
Got ya.
So that his reactions to what they do is genuine. So like, yeah, there was apparently like the next day Lou had sorted out his cardboard cutout going to Antarctica. Like
really?
He was like on that.
I love it.
Obviously, like there was like behind the scenes stuff of like after they'd given the dossiers, and like they were all just instantly analyzing, like, and like Lou's like, the music one, does it have to be all my own music, and or can I do lyrics over a beat? Like, what's the levels of what we're allowed to get away with? All these different things. So obviously, like, it goes into a bit more of like how they came up with different ideas, and it is fun seeing the behind the scenes. But the second episode we'll get into,
Olympics, was
brilliant idea again.
Genius.
2 for 2 this season.
Yeah, and my favourite bit, without a shadow of a doubt, was the calling them straight back in to do it a third time.
Oh, I like was fully unaware of how long I've been watching, because the Game Changer ones feel
they
like
vary a
sometimes,
lot.
and sometimes they can feel like 30 minutes, but it's actually been an hour, because you're just like,
yeah.
I'm like, oh, they're coming up. This is a fun concept. The whole idea of like they've been called back, they're now competing against themselves. Of course, they've got Brennan on. Them having the commentators was hilarious. Loved the meta commentary. I loved it
so much. I love the new set as well with all that extra space they've got. It's literally like the Step Brothers meme. It's like we have so much room for activities.
Yes, and obviously, like I'm watching that first like half, and I'm like rooting for them to do better, because it's like, oh, okay, they're really gonna all try. This is great. And then it goes car alarm again, and Sam's like, you're now going to be competing against yourself from 1 hour ago. And even I was like, oh shit. Like it caught me off guard. But it's such a good idea. Good.
I loved the commitment.
Yes.
Everyone was so committed. I loved that both Brennan and Katie fucking was so embarrassed about their pasta knowledge, they ended up just studying pasta stuff completely coincidentally.
Yeah.
I loved the fucking sandwich down the pants bit.
Oh, the shenanigans was great.
I loved that despite the sandwich down the pants bit, Iffy is just the cat whisperer.
Man's just got that chill aura.
Yeah. If he swaddled me like that, I probably also would have been in a rush to run away. But the fact that they were like scheming a way to get an animal to sit, and if he was like, I don't need anything, I was like, so did Iffy just have a terrible time and he knows he's got this? Or what? And then it was like, oh no, he had the cat for like 12 hours.
And now he's going to try and do it without a sandwich again. And I was like, okay, this man just bawling. Just knows he's got that
cats
game.
Love him,
Yeah.
And in all fairness, he was right.
Honestly, it was the commentary. One of the first funny things that caught me off guard was like when Brennan was gonna do his the jump challenge for the first time against himself. And they said something to him, and he's like, "It's okay. I know you're just reading off a prompter." And I can't remember their names, but like one of them goes, "Brennan is already mistaken. We are not reading off a prompter." And Brennan realizes, he looks and he's like, "Wait, you're not? What?" And just the instant hurt of, "Wait, I've already been bested by Sam."
Because it's really funny, right? It feels at first like it's an anti-Brennan episode again.
Yes.
But in fact, it's the perfect Brennan episode because Brennan believes in trying your best.
Yeah.
And it kind of, by the end, I think Brennan's come around on the idea that just always trying to be a little bit better is worth it. For the most part, they all did better themselves every time.
Great.
Like, it's so impressive that they all managed to do so much better each time. Like, the clip one was the funniest. They all did really badly the first time, although it seemed pretty good. The second one, they were all so much... And then the third one, they were all so much better again. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, that just... human spirit to be better is phenomenal.
Video game one where if he went first and it was like whatever his score was last time, and it's like he then instantly crashed and got one, and the commentators is like, "Oh, I don't see how anyone could get worse than one. That's literally the worst possible." And then Brennan goes, "Wait till you see what I did last time." And he like scoots up and gets 0. But I think that video game is available to play.
It's on the website, I believe. Yeah.
They're just so creative with the different challenges.
Good. The Game Changer is just one of the best shows on TV on streaming services. It is an absolute must. Me and Jenna have booked tickets for the Dropout UK tour next June in 2026. We saw the tickets got announced like yesterday, and we saw the sale was on Friday. And we're like, and Jenna was like, "I'll be working from home. I can get them tickets, not a problem." And then I woke up this morning and saw they tweeted and going, "The pre-sale is today at 10 a.m." I was like, "What the fuck, Jenna? Can you get tickets on the pre-sale? Can you have a look, please?" And she was like, "I'm on it." 5 minutes later, she was like, "We've got them." I'm like, "Fucking sweet." So I can't wait for that. It's always a good time.
Yeah, that'll be good. I mean, we both love Dropout. I mean, this season of Game Changers, I do think is like, you can visibly tell they have stepped things up.
They realized how big the show was getting during last season, I think. Like, not just how big they had let the concepts get, but also the fact that as a show, Game Changers was starting to get a bit out there. Like, the Alex Horn from Taskmaster is aware of Game Changers and very complimentary of it. He's like, "That is phenomenal. They work so hard. I'm so impressed with that show." That means, like, as much as I love Dropout, Taskmaster is my fucking jam. One of the greatest shows ever devised. And I can only imagine for them, someone on traditional TV making an incredibly successful show going, they are cooking over there. And like the outrage when they got no Emmy nominations.
Yes.
I think they were like, "Okay, we're
going to step this up again.
Competing now." Yeah, we're competing now. The people who decide on who can be nominated for them awards are going to probably keep a closer eye on us this year. Let's give them something worth watching. And my God, are they delivering so far?
Yeah, which has me excited for the rest of the season. Because this is just the first 2 episodes, and I feel like we've already had 2 banger concepts.
They can't do it again, can they? They can.
Like,
so good.
I'm waiting for that. The only one I hope, like I predict and hope we get, is another Sam Says.
I dread to think what Sam Says 4 could get like, though. Like, that could get crazy.
Like, they could come back, like I said it in the 1 year later, I think we discussed that, like, I was just waiting for him to say at the end, like, I never said Sam Says, so none of these matter. Like, he needs to do something crazy like that, where it's like, the whole show or something, like the whole first half of the show, they're fully competing at a thing, and he goes, "I never said Sam Says for anything, so all your points are gone." And we start again. Just the destruction it would do to the contestants.
Yeah, moral destruction would be ridiculous. And also, I've been watching some more Dimension 20.
Oh.
I binged watched the entirety of A Crown of Candy.
I've watched the follow-up series that Matt Mercer hosted for that.
I also watched The Ravaging War.
Yes.
The Ravening War. which
Very good.
is a follow-up but a prequel.
Yes.
Oh my god, A Crown of Candy is the most emotionally draining series of Dimension 20 I've watched so far. There are 2 full character deaths, causing them to re-roll a new character and have to rejoin. Both of them were incredibly powerful, and I was like, holy shit, I can't believe they've done that. It was amazing. I was obsessed with it, and I need them to do a season 2 of A Crown of Candy. I don't care how difficult it is thematically. I need it to happen. The Ravening War was amazing. The reason I decided to watch that was obviously I'd watched Crown of Candy, so I was like, same universe, this would be cool. But I was like, after watching that, I was like, I'm desperate to see Brennan as a player. Because I hadn't watched anything with Brennan as a player yet.
War. I love his character.
And I was like, it'd be cool to see Matt Mercer DM. So I was like, fuck it, Ravening War is literally perfect. I know the universe. I get to see in the same universe the differences between Brennan and Matt as a DM. And I get to see Brennan as a player. Literally ticked all my boxes of what I wanted next. Brennan as a player in the Ravening War is fucking phenomenal. The little like a monk religious dude.
Old man.
Just lying constantly and having the most jacked lying stats you've ever seen. Phenomenal. Yeah. Matt's version of the world being so much darker and more politically motivated, I really enjoyed. And it's because it's the same universe, it's such a good way of seeing the differences in their DM styles.
Yes.
I do think I prefer Brennan because he knows he's working with people like Ali Beardsley, so he leans into the chaos they bring.
Oh, don't worry. Matt Mercer's learned about Ali Beardsley. She's guest starred and he's felt her wrath. Like I'm watching campaign. I'm catching up on campaign 3, and she'd guest appeared currently or like a few episodes ago. In her first opening moment, she's playing a wizard and did something like 100+ damage off like combining 2 spells, and you can just tell Matt's like, "Oh, I'm in for it." Like,
not to harp on it for too long, but just a slight correction. Ali is a non-binary, so it's they them situation. Yeah, all good. Yeah, Ali is so funny to me because they seem like they don't really know what's going on. They seem like the kind of person who got invited to play D&D and doesn't understand the rules. And then out of nowhere, they literally do just go 12 billion damage. Some of the things that Ali does as Liam in A Crown of Candy are ridiculous. They play a ranger and their familiar, their pet pig, dies. Right. So they become a Gloomstalk ranger. Right. And the very next combat after that, they like wipe out 3 characters back instantly, and Brennan's like, "What the fuck just happened?" And then like it then becomes a part of the character's development that they've gone from being like this fun-loving person to just like absolute murderer who just obliterates any enemy in their path. It's some of the most fun ever is watching Ali roll and Brennan's eyes just go, I have nothing. It's so fucking good.
It is also great though, like getting, like you said, getting to see Brennan as a player. It's always fun when like the forever DMs get to be players because they know all the evil tricks. They will play the most chaotic characters almost every time because they're finally like, haha, now I get to do it back to you.
I feel like Brennan keeps a notebook, and anytime Ali does something, or anyone, Murph, Emily, whoever, does something that he's like, I should have seen that coming and I'm fucked. I feel like he notes it down for next time he gets to play. He's like, that is fucking genius, and no DM will see it coming. It was so good. Loved it a lot. I just wanted to give that a little shout out because that was so much fun to watch. And now to wrap up, Andor season 2, episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Yes. Oh.
We may have never been more back than we currently are.
Before we get into the meat of the episodes,
the meat and potatoes, yes.
Visually, you can visually see a huge step up from production side on season 2. Just like the quality of these episodes from like a cinematography point of view. Like we know Andor loves to use like the actual live sets and has always made more use of props and stuff, and they've lent more into that than the volume, which more of Star Wars has realized now and moved that way. But Andor's like always done it. I think they've stepped it up even more with this season.
I think the big reason for that is Andor season 1 was shot largely during COVID-19.
Fair.
So
think,
I'm not saying they haven't also improved, but I think there was an element of they were limited because of the pandemic, and they've gone right. Fucking the restraints are off. We can cook.
Restraints are off. Everyone's talked so highly of Andor over the last few years that Star Wars themselves have probably gone, yeah, your budget's increased. Go. You're the only thing people seem to love at the moment. We need this. Also,
as a Rogue One truther, seeing Andor get all this love, I feel like a smug arsehole just sat there going, fucking told ya. All of it is this era and storyline from Andor to Rogue One is just some of the best Star Wars we've ever got.
Something that I saw, I want to say it was the showrunner for Andor, put out a thing, because obviously lots of people are being like, oh, Andor's the best thing from Star Wars, like, why isn't it all like this? And I'm glad that he said this, but he was like, without good old Mando and Grogu, we don't exist. Andor season 1 never would have happened without the success of Mando and Grogu. Like, Star Wars needs both sides. Like, and I'm glad that
absolutely
they're making a point of being like to these Star Wars fans that just want to hate on everything. They're like, look, all of this is good for all of this. Like, we all help each other, even if this show's not your favorite.
Star Wars is a success, even if it's not particularly your flavor, help something else. Yeah, absolutely.
The show. We've obviously time hopped.
Yeah.
Which we knew was coming.
I think this one is a bit less than a year based on how everyone seems to be vibing. It doesn't seem like it's quite been a year.
It's something either like 6 months to a year, I think.
Yeah, I think it might be one of the slightly smaller time jumps. But yeah, we are definitely a little bit further ahead. Cassian's definitely a little bit more embedded with the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah, Cassian's gone. We can see the shift of smuggler, like bounty, like just man trying to make some money, doesn't like the Empire, into, oh, I'm fully invested in this rebel thing now. Screw the Empire. We get a lot of attention on Mon Mothma,
which I'm so down for.
Yeah, I loved the focus around how her side of things has gone. Obviously, with this kind of jump forward. And then we also got to see how the Empire has started progressing its grasp on the world. I mean, it's exactly what we love. It's gritty. It's very political. It shows that the Empire is the bad guy, as much as people want to cry about that on the internet. But the Empire is this fascist evil regime, and if you think that they're not going to have people that abuse their power, you are kidding yourself. The takes of, oh, Palpatine and Vader would never stand for someone in the Empire doing that sort of thing to a woman. It's like, I'm sorry. This is the man that murdered children. Like,
so there's a discussion to be had here. I agree that assuming that Darth Vader would care is ridiculous. But even if you want to claim that Darth Vader and Palpatine would not be okay with what Imperial officers are doing vis-a-vis sexually assaulting poor people, cool. If you want to believe that, we can agree to disagree on that. But just because Vader and Palpatine wouldn't agree with it, doesn't mean that the sick fucks they are using to enforce their will won't abuse the power they're given. When you are a fascist regime, the kind of people who are willing to work for you are also going to abuse the power you give them.
Yeah, and also you like this was some guy on an outer rim planet given the power to be vetting people and arrest, and like nobody's there watching what he does. He feels like the biggest man. Like, you think
It's
he's not gonna?
unchecked power.
Yeah, you think he's not gonna abuse that power? You think people
Exactly.
in those regimes don't do that? Like, also
This is the exact.
nothing like all clothes stayed on. Nothing serious was shown. Like, it was all implied and was like leading up to that, yes. But like the amount of dummies that got spat out about this is wild to me.
It's incredibly important to remember that whether you like it or not, Star Wars has always been political. I know that's
Yeah.
still somehow a talking point, but it always has been. And it's incredibly important to remember that when you have a empire-like structure where it's military policing, you do what you're told, blah blah blah. This is what's going to happen. Whether the person, the emperor, whoever in charge, agrees with it or not is actually immaterial. He has given unchecked power to these soldiers, and no one's allowed to question them. So, if an imperial officer wants to go and sexually assault someone, no one's going to listen when they say no. And then, if the woman does get the ear of someone, they'll just kill her. And then they'll just go, she's part of the Rebel Alliance, and everyone goes, okay, cool.
Do you know what I think why this has suddenly kicked up such a fuss? Star Wars, like you say, has always been political, but they've often just danced around it a little bit. They've kind of like hid it in plain sight, like used sci-fi versions of things that like make it not so like plain and like hard lines. They've just gone for Andor season 2 like, we're sick of trying to make you realize the Empire is bad. We're just going to show you exactly what they are now, and people aren't realizing that.
There is absolutely a discussion to be had around the fact of if people's media literacy was better, that scene wouldn't have had to have been so black and white. But because, like you say, people miss the point,
yeah,
they're like, okay, we're going to spell it out in words you can fucking understand. I do think there is something to that, absolutely.
I loved where Cassian crashed or like was going to meet up with this pilot to swap the ship over.
The Cassian story through these 3 episodes of stealing the ship, getting stranded, is, I'm gonna say what it is in case anyone is still struggling with their media literacy. That is a fucking rally cry for we'll call ourselves the Rebel Alliance, to stop the infighting bullshit and work together. Because that is literally like pointing out, because we know the Rebel Alliance isn't powerful enough yet for what we see in 4, 5, and 6. This show is going to focus on the notion that the Rebel Alliance keeps tripping themselves up with the infighting.
Yes. Yeah, because we're kind of like, he hints at the fact he's like, oh, yeah, we were supplying you arms. Like, we're trying to help you become, like, we're trying to grow this thing by helping these little pockets.
But you guys are a bunch of fucking morons.
Yeah, and like, and as soon as there's not a leader, it all crumbles and you start fighting each other. Like, it was cool show, because that also helped show Cassian like how much more he is actually invested in this rebel, idea. Like, he's like, oh no, I have this like there is set things we need to be doing. You guys are wasting time. Just get the fuck on board, sort of thing.
It was a very clever way to show how Cassian's developed as a military mind and as a rebel believer and stuff like that. Absolutely.
I love that only as he's leaving, we're like, oh, this is the planet where the rebels set up. I forget what the planet's called now off the top of my head. It's gone out of my head. But like, we get the pyramids where obviously in A New Hope and stuff, and we're like, oh, you guys are going to become actual rebels and be part of setting up this whole thing. That ship, so everyone's presuming it's a TIE Interceptor.
Defender.
No.
Interceptor, yes.
There was, I can't find it now. Someone made a point of like, or someone with a lot more Star Wars knowledge than me was like, that's not a TIE Interceptor that has way better weapon system than an Interceptor. There's something in Legends of like a step up, and then this is like they're like, this is it finally being brought into canon, because like an Interceptor doesn't have all of those extra fucking weapons that this had.
I love the way they, and don't get me wrong, I hate the 3-episode drops. I get why they're doing it. I don't like it.
That's fair.
I like that they've also decided they're going to tell smaller, more contained stories during them episodes. So you've got Mon and the drama at her child's wedding.
Yes.
Cassian, Cassian trying to deal with the mission he's on of stealing this Imperial prototype and handing it over, and the shit that goes on there. And then his friends who are hiding out trying to stay safe are exposed and in danger. And then obviously the Empire's
pressure and stuff.
And then the Empire side of them getting ready to take over this planet and mine it for resources and stuff like that. I love that all of them stories are happening concurrently. And across the 3 episodes, I like that. And then we're going to jump into the future, and I imagine we're going to see the next iteration of them stories and how that comes together. Brilliant. I disagree with 3 episodes a week. Not just because it makes this more difficult, but my big thing is, we're how many weeks removed from Born Again? 3 weeks? People have already stopped talking about it. Because that's what you do. Yeah? Once a show's finished, you move on to the next show.
Yeah.
By limiting yourself to 4 weeks of Andor, one of the most exciting season 2s on Disney Plus's radar, you're giving yourself a month of exposure. We know there's no season 3. What's going to happen a week after Andor season 2's over? People still going to be talking about it? Or is it already going to be gone? Will it survive a second week? Whereas you could have made this 3 months.
Yeah, it's tough because it's like, I get your side. It's like, it's a shame that it's not gonna live the same length as it could if it was like weekly releases. There is a part of me from like a kind of a creative side point of view of like doing something different with the storytelling, in the sense of like dropping the 3 episodes, then it's a time jump the next week. Is like there's a creative play to it there of like how they're trying to tell the story, of like you get it in these chunks and then next week we're going to jump ahead. Like it helps that they're trying something that a traditional format like you wouldn't do, which I kind of okay with. But
I just think especially with how well received it's already being, 3 months of every week Twitter going, oh my god, Star Wars is so fucking awesome, would probably help a lot right now.
Yeah, it's tough because I do think there's a certain element where the stories that were being told, you kind of need to watch them all together.
Yeah.
Because then it like changes how it needed to be written. They obviously had this idea early on and were like, this is a fun idea of how to package this story, and then lent obviously into it with the writing. Whether it pays off long term, if like people are talking about this as long as they were for season 1, I don't know.
My main concern.
I will say I want to go to a wedding with Mon Mothma and on their planet because that looked like a banger.
There was a weird vibe to it though. Like, it looks fun, but I feel like you'd feel like you might be accidentally signing up for a cult the entire time.
Okay, so I think that was more on purpose to show what Mon was going through. So the whole build up of that wedding, of being like, if you remember back to season 1, this has come about because she made a dodgy money dealing to hide her money. Like, she essentially sold her daughter for the rebels, whether she had admitted it at the time or not. And then obviously we're getting the wedding, all this build-up of ceremony. I thought it was really cool to like build this culture and the lore here. To that, like, Luthen's there. Her friend who's in finances is now starting to be like, I'm not being seen by you and your group. I don't feel appreciated in what I've sacrificed, and it's costing me money. And it's like, oh shit, he's getting cold feet. And she's of the opinion of like, we can pay him off. Luthen is like, no, we haven't got time for that. And
I mean, he's being executed.
oh, he's dead for sure.
Yeah,
like,
that was what we were supposed to get from
your
girl from season 1 being his pilot.
Yeah, 100%. Because Luthen's like, we haven't got time to be going, what, like, a number, wait for a number, we pay him off, will he stay quiet? Like, he's not in the business of risking the Rebel Alliance build-up on one guy maybe keeping his mouth shut if we pay him enough. Whereas Mon's like dealing with, obviously that's her old friend. She's balancing being like essentially undercover in government.
Do you know why I think Mon Mothma might be the most important character of this series?
Go on.
We know she ends up being a general in the Republic Army.
Yep.
Right now she's a senator.
Yep.
I'm gonna keep it Star Wars focused, but when fighting a fascist regime, it's very easy to just feel morally superior and think that's enough. As in, we won't do what they do, we won't kill our enemies, blah, 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 blah. However, moral superiority is a luxury those fighting for their freedom cannot afford.
Yep.
Therefore, we're going to see Mon over this series, my prediction is, while she doesn't necessarily like what's necessary, she's going to accept what is necessary to allow the rebellion to get the freedom that the galaxy needs.
Well, that's what we saw with the wedding is like, and I think some people missed, again, comes back to media literacy, but I think some people did miss why she was like dancing a lot, like just enjoying herself and getting wasted. No, it's like, no, she's crashing out about the fact that she's just sold her daughter for the Rebel Alliance. And also now her friend who she brought into this is got cold feet and he's going to die, whether she wants to admit that that's what's going to happen to him. And she's just like, I'm just going to get drunk and kind of crash out on the dance floor because I can't cope with facing what...
as well.
And yeah, and doesn't want to process what this is actually costing because then she might get cold feet about what she's doing.
And it's also very clear the planet she's from and the culture of their planet and the people of their planet are very cozy with the Empire in the sense of they're not one of the planets the Empire hates. They've been allowed to keep their nice mansions and their nice living style. So they just, hey, it's not happening to us, so why should we stop anything? And there is, I won't be surprised if by maybe the end of this season, in like the last gap, we start to see someone like her husband who's very like, it's not nice what they're doing, but it's not happening to us, so we're going to keep our mouth shut. Starts to go, oh fuck, it's happening to us now, and realizes that because he said nothing earlier, and because the people said nothing earlier, eventually they knock on your door as well.
I don't think he realizes. I think he's too head in the sand. The fun thing that people noticed was there is a younger man who's like appears at one point who's like her advisory, and everyone immediately has recognized his, I forget what his name is off the top of my head, but he is seen in the Rebels series when Mon Mothma is already a rebel and she has that like advisor person, security guy with her who has that is the same person. So quite clearly he is going to be now by her side and on her cause. I think we'll see him like be brought into like she's going to realize.
Similar to how like Luthen's assistant does a lot more of the
Yes.
dirty work so that he can.
I
And
think
also, I know we didn't get to see much of Luthen in his proper rebel form during
I
this
enjoyed
3-episode
him at
block.
the wedding.
But Stellan Skarsgård is such a phenomenal actor. The fact that he can go from like this floaty arts dealer to one of the most intimidating motherfuckers on planet Earth is testament to this man's acting
I loved
abilities.
it though, because like at the wedding he's like wandering around and being all merry, and it's like someone's talking about something on a planet. It's like, oh, I must know more. And it's like, oh, he's very clearly working and gathering intel. He's just doing it in a front of a way.
Yeah, it's so fucking cool.
Yeah. I mean, this, we're loving it already. Like, I'm excited. We know I have watched the next episode, first one of them. So we know it jumps a year. I think they'd already revealed that anyway. But yeah, so
they had.
We're going to be a year ahead. We're going to see how things have progressed. It started at 4 years before the Battle of Yemen. I think it's Yemen. BBY. Yemen. Maybe one of them.
Yemen's an actual country.
Yes, I think that's why my brain's getting confused. But we're going to be 3 BBY, a step closer to Rogue One.
I'm convinced at the end of Andor Season 2, I'm going to have to rewatch Rogue One.
Same.
I've said it a million times, it's my favourite Star Wars film, but having all this additional context to it, I feel like I'm going to be like, it's time.
I feel like it's going to end. I'd love if it ends and it's like almost a perfect smooth lead in to like, you could start the film and you're like, this is Andor Season 3.
Very, very excited. That's everything that I had on my what we watched list. Is there anything else you want to discuss?
I'm trying to think. All else I've watched this week is a ton of Friends because I was at my sister's.
Doing a Friends rewatch.
Yeah, just put it on. It's easy watching. I also got my sister into watching Yellowstone, so I've been rewatching the first couple of seasons of that with her. Even though I only watched it like 6 months ago. Still enjoying it. Still very good. Still recommend.
I am running 10 kilometres, and here's why. Every year in the UK, 393,000 people are diagnosed with cancer. That is more than 1,000 every single day. Thanks to people like Cancer Research UK, we are getting better at treating it. But the fight is not over. And that is why this year I am running in Cancer Research's Race for Life on June 7th. So I am asking for your help. Please consider donating to my charity drive. The link will be down below in the description. And please share this as far and wide as you can. But wait, there is more. On top of running 10 kilometers, if we reach certain donation milestones, I will be doing additional things. Starting off, if we manage to raise £100, I will personally double that up to £200. Once we reach £300, I will stream the Steam game Deadlock once again after my legendary crash out on the game last September, uninstalling it and promise to never play it again. Yeah, no, I'm done. When we reach £400, me and some of my gaming friends will stream the hilariously difficult Chained Together. If we hit £500, I will wax my legs live on stream. Once we reach £600, I will be forced to stream 24 hours in a silly outfit, whatever game you guys choose. So make sure you comment down below your suggestions for the outfit and the game. The most popular suggestion will be the game and the outfit that we use. At £750, I will shave my hair all the way down to a grade 1 all over. That will be my first haircut since 2019. If we reach £1,000, I will get a tattoo of the Cancer Research ribbon on my calf. And if you guys do the unthinkable and raise £5,000, I will run a marathon in 2026. So please, please, please consider donating. And if you don't have the ability to donate, please share this on all of your social medias. Don't forget to tag me so that I can say thank you. And as well as all that, every stream from now until race day, I will be promoting the charity page and driving everyone I can towards it. Thank you so much for your support, and I really hope you consider donating. Awesome. So should we get into our character profile?
Yes.
Feels so alien doing this second, but this is the new world we live in, ladies and gentlemen. So our character this week is James Buchanan Barnes, aka the Winter Soldier. So, James Buchanan Barnes, aka Bucky, aka the Winter Soldier, aka Captain America, aka Revolution, first appeared in Captain America Comics #1, December 1940. After Bucky's parents died, he continued living on Camp Leahy as the unofficial camp mascot. While there, he began basic training with officers and became a skilled hand-to-hand combatant, as well as developing many skills in espionage and guerrilla warfare. These skills would end up being crucial as he met and befriended the super soldier Captain America. Bucky became his sidekick and then began a vigorous training regime to make sure he was ready to join Steve in the field. Soon enough, Captain America and Bucky became less everyday soldiers for the US military and began working alongside the Submariner, or Namor, and the original Human Torch as a team known as the Invaders, a nickname they got from the British Prime Minister Winston Churchill. Towards the end of the Second World War, and after splitting from the Invaders slightly, while chasing down a drone plane, Bucky was seemingly killed. However, in fact, he'd survived the explosion and managed to only lose his left arm. He was recovered from the icy waters by a Russian submarine and placed in cryostasis. When they found schematics for a powerful robotic arm, they decided to test the surgery on him. It was a success, and so they began brainwashing him and indoctrinating him. Over the next few years, Bucky, now under the alias of the Winter Soldier, was used as a hitman for the Russian regime, being used in many assassinations, including but not limited to the JFK assassination. He was thought of as an urban myth, the boogeyman the Russians would send if all else fails, not even believed to actually exist by the American government. Eventually, he was activated by the Russians to assassinate the Red Skull, the head of Hydra. During the mission, however, the Winter Soldier came face to face with Captain America, who was also hunting the Red Skull. They battled violently until Steve discovered who he was fighting. He then used the Red Skull's cosmic cube to restore Bucky's memories from before his accident. Horrified by what he had done and what he'd become, Bucky disappeared. However, in the secret, he kept hunting the Red Skull. Eventually, Bucky began to reconcile his issues and started using his skills for good again. When Steve Rogers was temporarily dead, he took over the mantle of Captain America, and then once that was over, he went on to reconnect with an old girlfriend from his Winter Soldier days, Natasha Romanoff, the Black Widow. Eventually, Bucky found a more permanent home as a member of the Thunderbolts, using his skills and powers to help, albeit in a more grey area that allows his natural espionage skills to flourish. I feel like Bucky's such an interesting character. Because for a long time in comics, the joke was everyone comes back apart from Uncle Ben, Batman's parents, Bucky, and Jason Todd. And then Bucky came back. And it was everyone stays dead. No one stays dead apart from Uncle Ben, Batman's parents, and Jason Todd. And then Jason Todd came back. I might have done the wrong way around, someone will shout at me if I do. Anyway, really interesting that he's become such a big part of the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
I feel like he is not far off being like an A-tier hero at this point in like how recognizable he is and how well known he is, feels insane.
He's another one due to the MCU has like just been boosted to higher fandom than he probably ever should really have had.
Yeah, to be clear, he was a sidekick who died, came back as a villain, and then got thrown around on random teams for years. Insane. So that was our first character profile that's coming up from the Thunderbolts film that's coming up. We'll be covering some more of the Thunderbolts over the next few weeks. Speaking of the Thunderbolts,
yes,
it comes out in 2 days, Friday as we're recording. So yesterday as this is out.
Yep.
Let's discuss it. I have a new kind of plan for how I'd like us to do previews.
Oh.
So, Hori, what would you like to see from the Thunderbolts in tone, style, and if you've got a particular preference, story beats?
I think I'm expecting and hope that the playful tone to kind of, especially from like Red Guardian and Bucky, like that sarcastic playfulness carries through. I don't expect this to be a super serious film. They are the mismatched heroes. I mean, I'd love like that trailer that we got that we've said many a times was like the Zuma trailer or the A24 style. Like, I hope that the film is edited that way. I'd love like a Marvel film to have like a completely different feel to it than the standard. I think that would be really good for going forward for the future of the MCU. I don't know what else I kind of expect to happen. I am still strongly on the boat that the asterisk is not going to be New Avengers or whatever.
The only thing I'm worried about with this film
is
how annoyed the reveal of what the asterisk is about is going to annoy me. I know the chances of them doing something that doesn't annoy me with the asterisk is 0.01%. Like, the chances of them pulling that off, I know what I'm like, are incredibly low. What I'm going into this going is, how little is it going to piss me off? If they manage to like not actually wind me up that much, I'm like, okay. They've fucking smashed it. But that's my actual only concern going into this film.
I have just had a really, to me, I think it'd be really funny. Maybe this would annoy you. Because
I genuinely don't believe there is a payoff that won't annoy me.
Fair. What if there's like just no recognition of it the whole way through? Like there's not mentioned, nothing is discussed about why there's this asterisk through the whole film. Credits roll. We get a normal post-credit scene. Credits roll. We get a second post-credit scene. But this is Kevin Feige in an office being handed the title card for the first time, or shown what this is what we've done for the Thunderbolts title card, and he goes, why is there an asterisk? And they go, well, on the whiteboard there's an asterisk and it's just like a smudge. And then he goes, oh, we'll just leave that in, it'll be a fun marketing thing. Like, what if it is as dumb as something like that?
No, but that would piss me off the most, I think. It being used as just a throwaway gag after like it genuinely being a big part of their marketing would piss me off. Apparently,
I'd be okay.
The post-credit scene is one of the most important in MCU history.
They've said that before.
Or not for a while. They've not been ballsy enough to say that. And apparently it's 2.5 minutes long.
Okay, now that has me intrigued. I will say the pre reviews or discussions that have been coming out from premieres, everyone is very positive about this film. For what feels like the first time in a long time with a Marvel film. And that paired with the slightly different style with the marketing, this like clearly a very different creative take or direction with this film, paired with these raving pre-reviews, has me very hopeful that this is actually going to be a fun, good film that maybe as the MCU starting to try and do some like newer, like more outside the box style.
I completely agree. I think they're not going to commit to this. Let the director have a bit more vision until the DCU, which seems to be trying that from the get-go, sees some success.
Yeah.
They're definitely dipping their toes in the water a little bit with it.
Mm-hmm.
Then if the first few DCU projects are rave successes because you feel like the touch of the person making it, I think they're going to open it up a little bit and go to Ryan Coogler, Sam Raimi. Okay, we already trust you, and we're going to give you a little bit even more room to work.
If they're smart, they, like you said, they let DCU test the water. Secret War comes, soft reboot,
and then they've got their soft reboot.
Then you go, oh, there you go. Now we can completely change the visual style. Then it will feel like a soft reboot, and we're not stuck in this MCU look that we've had.
Exactly. Again, like I said, I'm very excited for this film. I completely agree. I think the vibe we've got from the trailers of like the team dynamic is going to be great. I know I said I only have one complaint. I have two complaints before the film goes out.
Okay.
The asterisk is not going to be paid off in a way that matters to me, and I'm saying that now. If I am wrong, and I think it's actually a payoff that was worth it, I will admit that. I will hold my head up and go, you know what? Fair enough. However, and I know I sent you these tweets about it, and I tweeted about it. Taskmaster. In all of the trailers, you only see Taskmaster in that one room where they all kind of meet for the first time when they're rescuing Bob. You do not see them in any other place. There are numerous shots in the current theatrical trailer, as we established earlier. I've been to the cinema a lot recently. I've seen this trailer about 9 times now. There are times where they're having like the wholesome moments of the team bonding, and then it cuts to all of them, and there is just no Taskmaster in sight. And it's like, I love you guys. And then it cuts, it's like just no Taskmaster. I'm like, it's so painfully obvious. In most of the posters, in any poster that doesn't have Bob, aka Sentry, it looks like they've made the poster and then gone, fuck Taskmaster, and just like stuck them in a corner. Taskmaster deserves better. I hope
it's a double bluff.
They pay this off as a different Taskmaster. If this is a double bluff, and obviously, so the tweet going around is that apparently there's a surprise death early on in the film. As I said on Twitter, if it's not Taskmaster, that is the only way it's a surprise.
Yeah.
If they have, in all this marketing, made it so obvious that Taskmaster is the most dead a character has ever been, and Taskmaster does actually survive, and they've gone nuts in the trailer editing to hide Taskmaster, and they're like the linchpin of the entire film, I am going to give them a reprieve on however pissed off I am with whatever the asterisk reveal is.
Here's the
However,
question, though.
the chances of Taskmaster not being dead are so infinitesimally small that I genuinely think we have a better chance of winning the next 4 lotteries in a row.
Also, then the question is, if it's not Taskmaster who dies, who does? Hey, maybe they don't die. Maybe they just go, I don't want to be on this team.
Do you know what the final nail in the coffin for me was? That Taskmaster absolutely is dead and it's not an editing trick?
The chairs.
No, in one of the scenes, Ghost has Taskmaster's sword.
Oh, does she?
Yeah.
Oh. Hey, maybe she's just fangirling and got a replica. Maybe she's borrowing it. Maybe Taskmaster's other side of the room, you just can't see her.
Funny, I'm very excited.
Yes, so am I.
For Florence Pugh's Yelena storyline. Some of the bits from her in the trailer look phenomenal. And while Bucky is clearly going to be like the leader / heart of this film, I think it's going to feel a lot like a Yelena film.
I think that she'll get obviously
in
a
the best
big
way
part.
possible.
Yeah, I do also think the other like the US agent stuff, they're gonna change our perspectives on those characters a bit, and I think we're gonna feel like all of them have kind of maybe been hard done by a bit too much.
I sent you a tweet the other day where I was flexing the fact that I was right, and I can't remember which one that was about. Give me a second. Oh, yes. So, when we saw the very first teaser for it, we saw Bucky on the bike.
Oh yeah.
And I instantly went, that was so Terminator coded, it's unreal.
I feel like I remember you saying this.
I did say it, check the VOD. Sebastian Stan has confirmed that he was heavily inspired by the Terminator in the way he did that scene.
Like, how are you not gonna, like, you put him in on a bike with a gun in his hand and he's chasing a car, like.
And he's the Winter Soldier, for fuck's sake. Like, he's got to lean
Anybody
into
in that situation is gonna be like, I feel like the Terminator right now.
Yes. There was another bit that we spotted in the trailers that we both recognised what it was inspired by instantly. And the director in the last couple of days has confirmed what we had already pieced together. And the internet is not happy.
Oh.
So, we've seen the Void's powers.
Oh, yeah.
And how, in a very terrifying way, people just turned to dust and are left as a mark on the pavement.
Yeah.
When we saw that, the first thing I said to you was, that feels like the after effects that are famous from like Nagasaki and Hiroshima when the nuclear bombs were dropped.
Yeah.
That's clearly what they were inspired by. It was too similar to not be.
Yeah.
The director this week confirmed that, and a lot of people aren't very happy about it.
Why?
I think it comes from an element of they think it's disrespectful to the people that died. And I do kind of understand that. However, it's one of these things where art is always inspired by what's happened in the world.
Yeah.
And they're not turning it into a joke.
No.
It's a case of what is the most terrifying thing that's kind of happened in the world.
How do you sell a VFX effect as something that is meant to be terrifying as the viewer? You ground that in something that they can relate, like they understand from reality.
I mean, in the UK, as part of like standard history, even if you don't take it as like GCSE, you study the World Wars. And I remember seeing the pictures of the after effect from the atomic bombs. And they are fucking haunting. And I genuinely don't know if there is a better way to express just how terrifying something is than all it being left is a mark.
Yeah.
And I do understand why people think it might be insensitive. I do. I think they might be misinterpreting it as being made light of when that isn't the case at all.
No.
Now, if one of the characters in the film sees this happen to someone and makes a fucking joke out of it, fair enough, be pissed.
Yeah.
But I don't think him just going, that's what it was inspired by, when that was clearly the case months ago and you were just maybe a little bit too slow to understand it, doesn't mean you can be angry now.
Yeah. I can guarantee people watch that trailer and was like, holy shit, that looks scary. They're just getting turned into shadows. Their brain has pieced together that they've seen that before. They just hadn't pieced together where they'd seen that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think when this was announced, this was probably one of the films I was least excited for. The new style of marketing they've done for it compared to more recent MCU films. The trailers we've seen. I think this might be a very good film. One of them ones that MCU haters kind of go, oh, maybe we're back here. I don't think we ever left.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm very excited for this. The notion that this post-credits trailer is incredibly important has me excited. And I can't. The beauty of this is, I feel like the trailer doesn't give anything away.
No.
All we know is that Taskmaster's dead and Sentry's in the film.
And Bucky chases down the group, but then ends up leading the group.
Yeah.
That's about it.
I love it. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Nerdy news time. I knew this episode was going to be long because we had so much to catch up on, so I've just kind of got the cliff notes of the news over the last 3 weeks. Starting off, famous US comedy show Saturday Night Live is launching a British sister show in 2026. This show can be a success.
Yeah.
However, the person who's producing the show is, I forget his name, the same man who's run it in America the entire time it's been alive. If he tries to do American-style humour in England, it will fail spectacularly. Because I've watched some Saturday Night Live. I've watched some skits from Saturday Night Live when it was the best in the 90s. A lot of that is not going to land for a UK audience.
I will say, just because he's the one that runs the show, obviously, I know Saturday Night Live, a lot of the comedians are then writers, or like they write the stuff themselves. As long as they do the same over here, with British comedians get to write their own skits and whatnot, and it makes so then the culture matches the audience, I think it'll be fine. But yeah, I have the same worry of like, if they try, which often happens when British shows get turned to US remakes and they try to do the same thing and it doesn't land, or if they don't change the type of humor, this will fall flat.
Absolutely. The best example of the difference between British and American humor is watching the pilot episode of the US Office, because it's basically a shot-for-shot remake of the British Office, but it doesn't work. And I can never quite put my finger on it, but essentially Americans can't do British humour. And I don't mean that as like all Americans aren't funny. Our styles of humour are so vastly different. If you just try and imitate our style, it doesn't work. And just like if we try and imitate their style, it doesn't work. Some of the British comedians who go out and do American films and try and do an American humour style, they are nowhere near as funny as when they do their own style. However, if they realise that with SNL in Britain and they make it genuinely a British twist on it, I'm very excited, because Saturday Night Live has a long and proud history of finding talent and giving it the platform to succeed. So if they do adapt it correctly, it could be a good launching board for British comedy, which is phenomenal.
Agreed.
As we discussed a few weeks ago, there was rumours that China might take a dim view on American films as a result of the tariffs. The Chinese Film Administration has confirmed they will reduce import of US films as a result of tariffs. I am paraphrasing here to cut out the Chinese Communist Party propaganda involved. What they have said is, as a result of America's actions, the local population isn't as interested in American films anymore, so therefore they're not going to bother bringing as many in.
Okay.
Stuff like that doesn't happen that fast, but that is the nature of the beast. You should know what you're fucking with. Finally, the Oscars from 2027 will be introducing a Best Stunts category award. Long overdue. One thing that was a bit of a negative reaction to this, however, was people thought it was very rude of them to bring it in the Oscars after Mission Impossible finally ends.
Oh no.
I don't like Tom Cruise as a person. As a movie star, he is arguably the best we've ever had. I think, no matter what, come the 2027 Oscars, they need to be giving out a Lifetime Achievement Award to Tom Cruise for the amount of times that motherfucker strapped himself to planes and shit.
Here's the thing. Everyone respects the stunts he does. And yes, he's done some crazy shit. And I'm not saying those stunts aren't mad, and he's definitely pushed the boat out, and he only can because he's the one in charge. I don't care that he's going to miss out on the stunt award, because I'd rather see that go to actual stunt actors who it's their whole thing is doing stunts or putting together stunt routines, to let them get the light on them. Tom Cruise can go get an Oscar in anything he wants.
To an extent. But it's not like Tom Cruise just does one big stunt per film just to seem like he does all the stuff. He does do all his stunts.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't begrudge Jackie Chan getting a stunt one because you know he does his own stunts. I think there is an element of Tom Cruise has been around so long, we maybe take him a little bit for granted.
Yeah.
But it feels nuts when, like, as the only A-lister for the last 10, 15 years who you know is putting his own body on the line, the fact that when his franchise, where he does that the most, is literally ending in time for the 2026 Oscars, they've gone from 2027, there will be a best stunt category. It just feels.
You know what's going to happen? He's going to bring out another Mission Impossible film.
Well, re-release. He's going to take a play at Sony's book and do a remaster. Walton Goggins says that he thinks Fallout Season 2 is levels above the first season. He said, I've been in this industry a long time, and normally the second season is when stuff starts cooking, and the same things happened again here.
Doesn't surprise me. They're going to have thrown more money at that show.
It was such a fucking blowout success. Yeah. And the writers clearly had an idea where they wanted to go next as well. Mm-hmm. They literally will have just thrown a bag of money and gone, do it again. Cannot wait. Life of Chuck is a new film coming out starring Tom Hiddleston, Hayley Atwell, I believe Hayley Atwell, and the such like. Okay. It is based on a Stephen King novel, but it's not horror.
Oh.
And it's about a person who kind of experiences time in a weird way. The trailer for it, you know how like the old, I don't even know if it's an old meme anymore, if I'm old. You know the meme of like the indomitable human spirit? And like it's always like them things of people doing amazing things. It's part of the music, and you watch like that compilation, and you feel like you could literally knock a building down with your bare hands. The trailer for this film had me feeling the same way.
Okay.
I will be going to see it. It comes out June 10th, I believe, and I believe it will be kicking off my summer film festival of just a summer where I'm just going to live in the cinema.
Fair.
I thought July was going to have all the fun. It's starting in June. We're doing 2 months straight, baby. I didn't know this film was coming out. I knew nothing about it. I saw the synopsis and I went, that sounds interesting. I saw the trailer and I went, we will be there. God, I love cinema. Very, very excited. More excitingly for you and the general audience,
yes,
we got a new Fantastic Four trailer.
Yes.
So, at first, it seemed to just be the trailer that was shown at CinemaCon.
Yes.
But it wasn't just the trailer that was shown at CinemaCon.
No, there was some new bits
because there was
footage.
An added shot of Mr. Fantastic finally using his powers.
It looks good.
It does look good. It does look good.
We have been forever worried that they weren't showing us because it looked bad. And I said, I think they're waiting so it, like, because it's going to be so good and they're just going to reveal it in the film or something. Like, I thought they were purposefully doing it just to save some wow factor. But they showed us like a second. Like, it's blink and you miss it. But like, they showed us and it didn't look, obviously there's going to be some goofiness to it. It's a man stretching. But it didn't look so, like, in a way that looked straight away out of place.
No, it looked good. So yeah, as we knew about this trailer, we knew it got revealed to the family that Sue was pregnant.
Yeah.
We knew the Silver Surfer arrived. We knew that people in the street were kind of going to the Fantastic Four, who've clearly been heroes for a while now. Can you save us? What's happening? And it sounded good when we heard it described. But my God, the emotional weight in this actual trailer behind the excitement of, oh my God, you're pregnant, that's so cool. And the look in Pedro Pascal as Reed's face when that kid is like, are you going to be able to save us? Are we going to die? I'm just like, oh my God, it's going to be so good. I think, early prediction, they are going to fail.
One, you think he's going to have something to get just them out of there? I wonder if they maybe are going to fail, and similar to how in Avengers Endgame, Tony figures out how to go back in time and shit. He's going to figure something out and think, oh, we can go back in time and give this another go. But in doing so, flips them out into the multiverse and something goes wrong.
Maybe. But yeah,
very
excited. That trailer got me hyped. Seeing the thing in the water pulling the boat, fucking awesome.
Yeah, and then smashing through the building. I was like, yes.
The Silver Surfer looks phenomenal. I can't be more excited for this film. It probably doesn't seem like I'm that excited because I'm having to temper myself so much because I'm so excited.
It's looking good for a solid double superhero bill.
I don't watch films more than once normally. I have an oddly good memory for things I've seen. So as a general rule, I don't rewatch stuff because there's so much I want to watch. Why am I going to waste time rewatching something? There is a real chance that both Superman and Fantastic Four get multiple viewings in the cinema.
Possibly. The last film
if they're as good as I think they could be.
I can tell you the last film I went to the cinema twice for, and it was Spider-Man.
No Way Home.
Yeah.
Same.
Because I went and watched it like opening night or whatever on my own, then went with my brother-in-law like the same week.
I'm very excited.
High chance.
Different kind of excited. Marvel Swimsuit Edition is making its return for the first time in 30 years. And this is partially going to act as a collaboration with Marvel Rivals, the hero shooter by NetEase Games.
Yes.
I'm genuinely surprised that Marvel are bringing back the swimsuit edition.
I'm not, because
they discontinued it in 95.
NetEase have shown them how much money they can make off skins. And they've gone, we have a crazy idea, but we think it's going to make you a lot of money. And Marvel's gone, you know what? We're listening.
Do you know what I think it is? Animators, in the sense of like traditional like film animators, TV animators, and like people who draw illustrations for books, have always been perverts. This is well documented. I think the general internet has just finally caught up to how perverted they are. So now they have the argument to go, the people want it.
Oh yeah, the funniest thing I see is like people going, oh, fucking Marvel Rivals is just suiting the Gooners. They're just making skins for the Goon. Like, and people are like, no, this is comic accurate. Take it up with the comic book artists.
I'm loving it. It'll be really cool. I probably won't get the swimsuit edition unless it's got something really funny in there. Like there's a really old school one of Ghost Rider. And they're naked, but they're covered in fire, so it's just a skeleton on fire.
That's funny.
Awesome, hilarious.
Yeah.
But it's cool that it's finally making a comeback, and I do agree that the collab with Marvel Rivals might mean they do more fun things with actual comic books again.
Well, yeah.
We had what do they call it? Star Wars Festival, Star Wars
Celebration.
Star Wars Celebration while you're away, swanning off with your new job and shit. The big ones. New live action film has been confirmed. Star Wars Starfighter, starring Ryan Gosling.
Set after the sequels.
The sequels. Not massively after, but a little bit after. Is it like 5 years after?
I think it's 5 years. I feel like this is the film that we heard about ages ago that was going to be set 5 years after the Rey period.
But we really don't know a lot about it.
We know nothing other than it's Ryan Gosling. Like this.
Now I'm going to say something that might be controversial. It's a live action Star Wars film. I do expect there to be Jedis. I'm okay with no Jedis in TV shows if it makes sense, and in animated shows if it makes sense. If I go to the cinema to watch a Star Wars film, I want to see lightsabers and Jedis.
I predict, going off the name, maybe Squadron of Pilots, maybe someone has Jedi powers. Maybe then goes finds Rey. Something like... It's that era where Jedi are returning again. Starfighter, Ryan Gosling loves to wear a bomber jacket.
Is it just going to be a Top Gun, but in space?
Because I'm also down for that. Drive. He's going to say nothing all film other than like 4 lines. I don't know. I mean, we'll wait and see. Who knows what
I do think this... While I want this film to be a success, I'm sure it'll be a good film. It's going to be a hard sell if there is no Force-sensitive characters in a live-action Star Wars film. That's my opinion.
Fair.
This I am very excited for. Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord, an animated series focusing on Maul. I assume in between the end of the animated series and Rebels.
No idea. They haven't said, I don't think. I will say...
It's only part of Maul's history we don't really know anything about at this point, isn't it?
I think so.
Between Rebels and the end of the Clone Wars.
Yeah. I will say, though, as very excited as I am, because I love Maul as a character, I kind of wish it was live action.
Yeah. But this guarantees we get Witwer back.
It does, but fucking suit Witwer up. No one's going to fucking complain nowadays.
I know, but...
Like, my only thing is we have had
I hope we get a Kenobi. Kenobi!
We've had a lot of animated Maul when you actually think about it. Like, there's...
Yeah, we've had far more animated Maul than anything else.
Yeah. Give me a bit of live action. Like, with like some of the fight choreography from Acolyte.
Do you know what I think the problem genuinely is? The same issue we had when Ahsoka came out. People going, oh my god, but we've seen Ahsoka doing all of this stuff. Yeah. Why isn't she doing that here? People have grown so accustomed to Maul fighting in a way that isn't possible for a human to replicate. No, it isn't. And I feel like
things.
I feel like they've rather gone, instead of trying to pull off stunts that are probably still not going to be enough to keep people happy, let's just leave him in animated.
Do you want to know what my actual prediction is why it's animated? They're saving Sam Witwer to play a live action Starkiller.
Are you still bolting that?
I will still hold on to that happening one day. And if they put him in a live action film as Maul, they kind of can't get away with using him again. Wait and see.
Rory McCann has been cast as Baylan Skull for Ahsoka Season 2 after Ray Stevenson's passing after Season 1. He looks pretty damn good with the makeup and the way they put his beard on. It's okay. It's not going to be the same. It is going to feel a little bit weird. But unfortunately, that is the way it is. I don't think we should give up on a good project.
No. And
because someone tragically passed.
Something that it shouldn't obviously be fully weighted on your opinion on it, but they were both very close friends.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, so I think there's a certain level of weight to it of like he is getting to finish something someone he was close to started. So like he's
That's kind
going
of
to
cool.
treat it with a certain level of respect of doing the best job he can for him. So and I do think they fit well enough visually.
Yeah. It's weird because, like, back in the day, recastings if an actor passed weren't uncommon.
Yeah.
Like, famously, the Harry Potter series changed Dumbledore.
Yeah.
But it feels like you're not allowed to do that anymore. There
Well,
seems to
Star
be in
Wars
like the
seemed
more
to shy away from it for a while.
there seems to be a more modern approach where it's like if an actor passes, that character is not allowed to be used anymore. And I do disagree with that. I
Yeah.
get it because like you don't want to be disrespectful, but there's a big difference between being disrespectful and recasting. And I think sometimes people forget that.
Yeah.
Star Wars Visions Volume 3.
Mm-hmm.
9 anime studios back for more episodes. Some of these episodes from the first volume are getting
Follow-ups.
sequels, or
Yeah.
the same studio are doing another episode. Very cool.
Yeah.
We are big Visions stands on this podcast.
And I love a
We
bit of
like
anime.
it when
So
we love it when creative people get creative freedom. What can we say? And Visions is literally the poster child for let cool people make cool shit. So very, very excited for that to come out. That's due winter time, was it? Or have we not got a date on that?
not sure actually.
Visions Season 3. It will debut in 2025 is all it says.
Okay.
I think I've assumed it's going to be in the winter time. But I believe all they've actually said is it will come out this year. But bearing in mind they've only just
maybe
announced
October.
it. Okay. So yeah, winter time. Awesome. That's something for us to look forward to. Next up.
Our favourite subject.
The Academy has, after the backlash from this year, implemented rules that voters will be required to watch all nominated films before they're allowed to vote. They all have access to a screeners app which has all of the films on them. So it's not going to put them out of pocket to do it. They're just like, please make sure you watch these films before you vote.
Yeah, and that'll be tracked. I imagine there'll be something that'll check that. Has it been watched? Okay, you can vote on this thing.
Yes. However, less than a week after that news broke, there are already articles coming out suggesting that some members have already said they will simply put the film on and then they'll mute the tab and go about doing whatever else they're doing, or they'll just let it run while they go out to do some errands because there's no way anyone can make sure they've actually watched the film.
I can't wait.
Take these people's voting rights away.
Hey, no, let them keep speaking. They want to keep running their mouth. They're just going to make the Academy go, look what happened last time. They ran the mouth, they changed the rules. They'll just come up with something of being like, okay, if you want to hold your voters thing and like keep like this, you don't want to lose your status or whatever, we're going to now start making it so like X amount of the things have to be watched at one of our dedicated theatres or something. Like, there's going to be some... They're just going to start actually making sure you're watching shit. And, like... Yeah.
Academy members who may or may not see this. I promise you, if you give me that app, I will watch every film nominated.
I'll binge everything in a week.
Yeah, I promise you, if it is on that app, it will be watched before I vote. Because not only do I love cinema, I would never vote on something without all the facts. And I would not want to be convinced that The Wild Robot is the best animated film and just vote for it when I have access to watch the others very easily at my fingertips. I would have seen the Golden Globes, whatever it was, where Flo beat it out, and I'd have gone, right, what's this Flo shit about? Is it right? Just because I'd have to know personally.
Yeah, I mean...
So yeah, Academy, if you want to kick someone else out and give it to me, I promise I'll be your most reliable voter.
It's just funny to me that, like, obviously the Oscars are a while off still. Like, we've only just had them. Why are you running your mouth about oh, I'm just going to dodge these new rules anyway. Like, you're just asking to lose your place.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The Bear season 4 is apparently coming out on June 15th.
Yes.
Which is
Very exciting.
phenomenally exciting. Cannot wait. Okay, now these next two bits you don't have.
No.
One of these happened about 5 minutes before recording started.
Oh.
The second one happened while we were recording.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
The Sergeant Rock movie has been canned according to Rap.
I have seen that on Twitter today.
And about 20 minutes to an hour ago now, the Sergeant Rock movie might not be cancelled and is being reevaluated according to Deadline.
Okay, so do you know what I think's happened here? Which always freaking happens. Project Uncertain gets moved off being worked on to shelf, like into unknown thing. Media gets wind of that, or someone tells newspaper or whatever, that film got cancelled, it's no longer showing on the working on board, they must have cancelled it. And then actually it's come out, it's like, no, it's just being reworked, like it's back on the drawing board.
Absolutely. It's so weird though to get like an official news article from like the Wrapped going, the film's dead, it's been cancelled, to then 2 hours later other articles going, it's being reevaluated. Because it's like there's not even enough time for there to have been backlash on the internet for the execs to go, oh, maybe we've been too hasty here.
Do you know
there was like 2 hours between the reports.
Do you know what I did? I saw tweets saying it was cancelled, went to James Gunn's Twitter, he hadn't said anything on it. He is going to say something if that's like, if it had been cancelled, he would have tweeted something to clear things up. He hasn't. I was like, I'll wait and see.
I'm very curious to see what happens there. We'll have to wait and see. But that is it for the news. Thank you, as always, for hanging out. I know it's been a long episode. They're all going to be a bit short going forward with the new guidelines that we have for ourselves. But we had so much to catch up on. So we'll see you next week for episode 159. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in a bit.
See you next time.